Hey guys, I'm back for another one. The next suggestion was a song Wendell Walker by Andy Shauf. And this is live at the Drake Hotel. So I have the lyrics up over here and let's listen.
Wendell Walker was a friend of mine. We'd stain our teeth in the summertime, and with lips of purple, the winter would roll past the boarded windows into our souls and shake our weary bones. Now this past winter was the coldest in years. It's hard to explain if you've never lived here, but it locks your doors and starts your mind thinking in circles just to pass the time, and breaks your weary heart. Now Wendell Walker was a man of God, but he didn't care much for his sober mind. And when the cold mixed in, he was turned around, heard the voice of God and the angels sound a message just for him. My son, my son, she is the devil's child. Won't you save her where you can? Cut down the other man. Now Wendell Walker was a friend of mine, but he married too young in the summertime. Their hearts weren't ripe, so they fell apart, and I found myself with a joyful heart as our secret lives began. We found our moments in between the hours, when Wendell Walker drove his car to town. But one day he found a letter that had wrote for her on the top of her dresser, and in his winter mind he heard the voice of God say, my son, my son, she is the devil's child. Won't you save her where you can? Cut down the other man. With the voice of the Lord ringing in his ears, and the note to his wife that confirmed his fears. He sat down on the edge of the bed read the letter again to see who'd sent it, but it was signed forever yours. He stood up slow like he'd just been hit. He walked into the kitchen where his wife was sitting. She said, my mother called on the telephone. She says she needs some help, so I'll be back in the morning. And he grabbed his heavy coat. My phone rang while I was watching the news. She said the house was ours to cure these winter blues. So I made my way, and we turned the blinds, and Wendell walked in just in time to see our secret die, and say, my son, my son, I'm gonna have to cut you down. He pointed his rifle to my eyes, but his hesitating hands were shaking from the cold. So I pushed his gun away, just as he found his strength. And the bullet kissed her lips, and I cried, my God, my God, what have I done? And he reloaded his gun, and he poured it in his mouth, and I stood in the room that I'd created.
Wow. Wow, that was really powerful. That was really, really, really good. It was so unique and so artistic, and it just wow. I'll tell you, for me, I've mentioned in a few other of my reactions that the way I listen to music, I'm always listening to the chords and hearing what's going on with the chords and everything, and that the lyrics usually take a back seat. And that's if I'm just listening. I did have the lyrics up here, and within the first couple notes of this song, I was drawn in. The music was so unique with that baritone guitar and that very unique style of guitar playing. The way he was hammering on to these notes was not, it was not cliche. He wasn't playing it like a guitar player. The interesting thing is that he was playing this like an artist. He was playing this guitar like he was painting with colors, or he was painting with sound. It wasn't about, I'm going to go this chord to this chord and I'm going to use this technique and this riff and this. None of that applied. This is such a unique voice, and what seems to be a very unique artist that I was completely blown away by this. I think this was really, really something special. The subject matter, I was thinking when we got to the end of this, I could kind of see where it was going, and my thought was, it's so dark. It's so dark. It's really a very dark subject matter for a song. But this wasn't a song. This was a movie. This was a work of art about something that was very important, something that was very terrible, something that was it was life. It was just this snippet of life, and the highs and the lows, and sometimes they come together. You can't have one without the other sometimes, and so it didn't need any cliche songwriting techniques. The music needed to tell this very touching, moving, powerful story. And it did it in such a simple and effective way that, again, just blown away. The lyrics were great. He has a very evocative voice. You can hear the song is just dripping with emotion and pathos, and it's just you hear it in his phrasing. You hear it in every little piece of this song. So I don't know how many of you have ever heard of Andy Shauf. It looks like this was released in 2015, so I'm really happy that it's relatively modern, because to me it's kind of exciting. I didn't know that anybody was writing at this, like this. This is great. This is really great. I can't. Words fail me to really tell you how much I appreciate and like this. It's so unique. His voice is different. His phrasing is different. His articulation is different. His guitar playing is different. And everything about it is wonderful. Everything about it is wonderful. So yeah, I really like this a lot. And the first verse really took me in. Wendell Walker was a friend of mine. We'd stain our teeth in the summertime. As soon as I heard that, I thought of myself being a kid. I grew up in the 60s. And life, when you were in grade school, life was all about candy. Life was about candy. We would go, I lived in a little town about an hour north of New York City. And it was a quiet little town, and there was a store across the street. Now, you didn't really call it a deli back then. You called it a store. And they'd make sandwiches, but they had candy and they had snow cones. And in the summer, they had an outdoor section. Our town was really kind of coming out of the throes of being a summer resort town and now starting to be a year-round commuter town into New York City. And but we would go to this place. It was called the Gables. And there was a couple, a German man, I think he was German, and him and his wife ran the place. And you'd go in there with a quarter and you'd buy grape balls, those little grape round gums. And the minute he said we'd stain our teeth into summertime, I'd think of that. We'd buy, for a nickel, you could buy a popsicle. And it'd be a grape popsicle and your lips would be blue. So this first verse just took me back. I'd stain our teeth in the summertime and lips purple. It just, the first two lines had drawn me in. And up to that point, the music was quirky and unusual. And by the time the second verse was there, I was a fan. That's all it took. And by the end of the song, I was blown away by the depth and complexity of the storytelling. It was amazing. I'm going to grab my guitar and talk a little bit about the music. Let's see if I can kind of approximate what he was doing on there. He had a baritone guitar with a capo. So let me just grab my guitar. Actually, I don't have to pause. Let me just grab it. So what I was hearing there was really interesting. So I heard those opening chords and I thought, okay, that's unusual. I'm hearing something unusual. So it sounded like it was going A, G to C. And it was, I have to hear it again. This is the first time I've ever heard it. So it looks like he's got his capo up on the second fret.
Wendell Walker was a friend of mine.
So that's what caught me right off the bat. So he's in E minor. He's doing kind of a hammer-on thing there. And then to your ear now, because of this E minor, this sounds like the 4 chord. It sounds like Dorian mode, 4 major, flat 3, to this C. And that's what caught me right there. I said, that's really unusual because now it almost sounds like it's in C because of this, right? It sounds kind of like a type of a 6, even though it's major. And I thought that was really interesting. So I want to play that again.
Wendell Walker was a friend of mine. We'd stain our teeth
And he has some
in the summertime, and with lips of purple, the winter would roll past the boarded windows into our souls and shake our weary bones.
So that sounds like your cadence there.
Now this
So isn't that weird? So it is in E minor, but it's just makes it sound like we're in C here for a second. Really interesting. So, and then he went which is now kind of like a cadence back to E minor, kind of like a flat 7. Acting like kind of a cadence. So I really like the music. So don't get me wrong. I think this song to me is about the lyrics and about the story. But I also find the music very, very interesting.
This past winter was the coldest in years. It's hard to explain if you've never lived here.
I'm playing a major 7 there by mistake. Don't pay no attention to that.
Mind, thinking in circles just to pass the time, and breaks your weary heart.
So it's A to D there.
Now Wendell Walker was a man of God,
Interesting.
but he didn't care much for his sober mind. And when the cold mixed in, he was turned around, heard the voice of God and the angels sound, a message just for
So cool.
him.
And that.
My
Ooh,
son,
C major 7.
my son. She is the devil's child. Won't you save her where you can?
Interesting. So G with a B in the bass, kind of a thing to the C.
Cut down the other man.
So cool. So nice. To a D. Kind of like a sussy kind of thing.
Now Wendell Walker was a friend of mine,
Love it. So cool.
but he married too young in the summertime. Their hearts weren't ripe, so they fell apart. And I found myself with a joyful heart as our secret lives began. We found our moments in between the hours.
Wow. So nice. So cool.
When Wendell Walker drove his car to town, but one day he found a letter that it wrote for her on the top of
That's
her
so nice.
dresser, and in his winter mind he heard the
I've got a
voice
trill
of
on an F sharp and a
God.
G. So nice.
My
C major 7.
son. She
kind of a D.
is the devil's child.
G with the B in the bass to the C.
Won't you save her where you can?
I hate to stop it. I just don't want to stop it. It's just so beautiful. The band is so engaged and so committed to the feeling and passion of this song. It's just unbelievable. It's just beautiful.
Cut down the other man. With the voice of the Lord ringing in his ears, and the note to his wife that confirmed his fears.
Sounds like a pedal steel, but
on the edge of the bed, read the letter
maybe.
again to see who'd sent it.
I see a guy
but it
sitting down in the
sang
back, maybe.
forever yours.
Or maybe a lap steel. Or
He stood up slow like he'd just been hit. He walked into the kitchen where his wife was sitting. She said, my mother called on the telephone. She says she needs some help, so I'll be back in the morning. And he grabbed his heavy coat. My phone rang while I was watching the news. She said the house was ours to cure these winter blues. So I made my way, and we turned the blinds, and Wendell walked in just in time to see our secret die. and say,
So beautiful.
my son, my
C major 7, A, D.
I'm gonna have to
C.
cut you down. He pointed his rifle to my eyes. But his hesitating hands were shaking from the cold. So I pushed his gun away. Just as he found his strength, and the bullet kissed her lips, and I cried, my God, my God, what have I done? And he reloaded his gun, and he poured it in his mouth, and I stood in the room that I'd created.
Absolutely beautiful. And that the coda. They have that kind of like, and then it never resolves. So nice choice at the end of this. There's no resolution to the song. It ends on a chord that leaves you going, and you know, that's it. It's over. Yeah. There's no resolution to that. So while it was playing there, I did look up a little bit about the song, and you know, here's what I like. This is, I'm assuming, on the author's part, you know, a work of fiction. This is a story, a song that he made up. How do you make this story up? You know, it's one thing to say, oh, you know, here's a story about, you know, this adulterous relationship, and it ends with you know, both people dead, and the, you know, the person saying, oh, this is all my fault, whatever. You know, that's one thing, but to deliver it in such a poignant, powerful way like this, I mean, talk about selling a song. I mean, this guy was 110% committed to this story as if he lived through it himself. So you can tell I am so impressed by this. I am so impressed by this. This is so great. So I'm going to leave it at that because I will keep rambling on for another 20 minutes, and I probably have said everything that needs to be said at this point. Love it. I want to hear some more of Andy Shauf. Another thing about this. Do you see the instruments? Those were all, when we were playing in the 60s, those would be the instruments that you would start on as a beginner. It looked like a harmony baritone guitar he was playing, and that Hofner Beetle bass. It looked like, it was hard to see, but it looked like it was a Wurlitzer piano. I cannot believe what Wurlitzer pianos are going for. I had one, and I sold it because it was like the poor man's Rhodes. And it, the reeds break all the time, and you got to replace them and everything. I have a Fender Rhodes still, and it's sitting in the other room over there because I got to tune it. And it's relatively in tune, but it's about a quarter tone flat. So I don't want to have to go through a lot of gymnastics to use it to mess around with, to record with. So until I tune it, it's going to stay in there. Anyway, they're playing with all these older instruments that we would have considered, you got to sell that, you got to buy a Fender, or you got to buy this, or you got to buy a Rhodes, or this or that. And they're making this absolutely beautiful music on these simple instruments. I love it. I love it. I just did a review of the Pixies just before this, and the thing I loved about it is that it was so simple. It was garage band kind of music. And even though this song was very sophisticated in the songwriting and storytelling aspect, it was so simple. You hear how that was a live recording, and it was so effective. That's the kind of thing where they, if somebody said, well, let's go in the studio and do this song right, you're not going to beat that. You're not going to beat that version right there. That was absolutely perfect. So anyway, that's what I got to say about that. So thanks for going the distance with me, and I'll see you soon. Take care.